What secrets will be revealed in this episode of Foundation? There are plenty. Welcome back, TV Junkies, or as some of you started calling yourself, Telefosi. I like it. Sort of a play on Tifosi for Ferrari. If we're just meeting for the first time, my name is Sean Redmond. This is Sean's Take. Today my take is on Foundation, Season 2, Episode 5, entitled Sighted and the Scene. And with the 5th episode, we reached the halfway point of the season. We're deep in it now. So this is your spoiler warning. From this point on, I'll assume you've either seen the show or don't care if I ruin it for you. Also, I will be using clips from the show, and as part of the fair use provision of the Copyright Act, this is all fair use, because this is a review. Let's get going, unpack it. So we're developing some spycraft here in Foundation on Trandor. Queen Sereth and her advisor, Enjoiner Rue, have recruited a member of the palace to help them, and they can block the memory auditing so he doesn't get caught. Of course, Queen Sereth is trying to figure out if Brother Day had anything to do with the assassination of her entire family. Enjoiner Rue seems to want her memories back with her Brother Day, who is now Brother Dusk. Queen Sereth found out from the spy that the attack on Day's life that failed happened in his bedroom, and she would like the recordings to find out how he survived. So she does submit a request for copulation with Brother Day so that she can get access to the bedroom. She wants to see if there's any damage or what it can tell her. So she goes, and there's some banter. She does see damage, and he plays it off. You know, it's restored for every clone that becomes Day to be uniquely that one. And she does see what could be blood spatter being cleaned off the walls. So Day notices that Sereth is stalling, investigating perhaps, and they begin an awkward attempt. He doesn't seem very smooth without Demerzel. The conversation degenerates into an argument. She does admit that she's investigating to prove to herself that she would be safe if she was to marry him, because after all, her entire family had been wiped out. They make an agreement that in order for the engagement to continue, Brother Day would have to find the assassins. Interesting. We do get our first little tidbit in a conversation between Brother Day and Demerzel, where Demerzel does say to him that there is nothing about the deaths of Queen Sereth's family that can be tied back to Empire. So now we know for sure that either Brother Day gave the order or Demerzel did it on her own, but he knew. So we're learning some of these secrets. Sereth and Rue do find out that all of the staff memories are stored in case they need to be searched, including the brothers. But the brothers are highly protected. So they do find, they have their spy get one of the doctor's stored memories, or medical staff. And they watch Brother Day's revival. And they see Demerzel with half of her head sliced off. And they learn that she's a robot. And that she was in Brother Day's bedroom. And now we see a scene from 30 years ago. Brother Day pursuing a young Enjoiner Rue. And we find that this is just a projection of the memory of that day. And the two of them are in bed watching the two of them in bed. And she asks for it to go back to the moment they met. And he does take, Brother Dusk does take the memory back to where they met. And we find out that she has her memories right up until he takes her hand. And then her next memory is being on the transport home with a bite mark on her shoulder and a full bank account. And she would have no way of knowing that anything had happened if there wasn't evidence. Which leads Brother Dusk to the conclusion, how would he know if his memories were being tampered with? And that starts a ball rolling. But Brother Dusk and Brother Dawn are becoming concerned about Brother Day's actions. And they use a thing to talk to Cleon the First. And they both press their hands against the glass of Cleon's the First's holding tank. And there is a moment where they wonder if their clones are genetically altered enough that this will no longer work. But it does. And the projection of Cleon the First comes out, and they get to ask questions. And Cleon the First is not interested in what they're interested in. He's only interested in fixing the fact that the three of them are not working as one man. And that's all that matters to him. Now, in the other storyline for this episode, we go back and see the recorporealized Harry Seldon. Harry's having a little trouble adjusting to being alive again. And he keeps having visions of Raish, his son, who you'll remember died in season 1. He can't explain how he's real, how he's alive again. So the trio on board their spaceship, the Beggar, descend to Ignis, the planet they were supposed to go to the last time we were with them when they went to the other one. And Harry became real. So on Ignis, Salvor more or less crashes the ship, which is a pretty tough ship. And on descent into the rough landing, she sees somebody in the brush. And she wants to know who that is. And she leaves the ship and chases them, only to find out that it is her old boyfriend, Hugo. Hugo's the one that gave her the ship, the Beggar. He has a plausible story as to how he came to be there and how he slept for the same amount of time that Salvor slept. When they get back to the ship, Harry sees them and locks them out. Asks who that is. And Salvor tries to explain. Now, Harry's smart. And we were just about forgetting how smart Harry actually is when he says, if that's really him, transfer command of the ship back to him. And of course, the ship has no idea who this person is because it's just a projection. Projections revealed the ship is stormed by the locals, blah, blah, blah. Harry, Gale, and Salvor are taken. Now, before all of this started, Harry turned to Gale and said, "Where's the Prime Radiant? Hide it and don't tell me where." We assume Gale listened and hid the Prime Radiant somewhere, and only she knows where it is. Harry doesn't know. Salvor certainly doesn't know. And so they're stormed and taken. When they awaken, they meet Telembond, the incarnation of a goddess. And she knows all about them. And this woman, turns out that the first little girl they saw is just a projection from the actual woman who is standing off to the side. She comes forward, and it turns out she is the head of the Mentalics. I don't know how to pronunciate that one. Mentalics. And that is the group of people that in Gale's vision of the future, that Gale is leading in the fight against the mule. So this is the Mentalics. This is where we meet them. She sends the trio off to rest, and they would speak again. When they leave, Telembond says to one of her people, one of the Mentalics, that what she's looking for is the Prime Radiant, and she knows that Harry told Gale to hide it, but they won't be able to hide it from her. And given that she's a psychic, that could be true. However, Gale has some powers of her own, so maybe that's what we'll see in the next episode, or the next time we see this storyline, is Gale's abilities fighting back against the intrusion of the Mentalics, and maybe being strong is how she becomes maybe their leader. I don't know. What do you think? This episode was pretty good, rolled on at a pretty good rate. Didn't have too many lagging parts. I did like this episode. We did learn the secret that Brother Day at least knew of the assassination of Sereth's family. We learned that these are the Mentalics from Gale's vision. We've learned that all is not well between brothers Dawn, Day, and Dusk, that they have begun to distrust each other. And we have learned that the clones have not deviated enough that the tech doesn't recognize them. So far that's okay, but since it's been brought up within the story, I think it's going to matter at some point. So this was a pretty good midway point. We're setting the stage for the group that will fight that battle that we saw in the far future. We're starting to unravel the Empire. Maybe next week we'll find out where Hober Mallow went to become the dagger. So all in all, pretty good. What do you think? I think this is unfolding well. I'm liking the episodes. And I'm happy. I am happy with the fact that we follow basically 2 storylines in each episode. So we're not trying to hit on all of them, which could be too much to cover and remember. Okay. So those are my thoughts, that we've laid the groundwork for a bit of a civil war between the Empire, the brothers Day, Dawn, and Dusk. We're laying the foundation for the Mentalics. How do you pronounce it? So let me know in the comments what you're thinking. If you're only watching the show, theories about where you think we're going. If you've read the books and you're watching the show, I know there's differences. I'm not sure what they are because I haven't read the books yet. But I know there are significant differences. Let us know which you're liking, if you're liking this. Okay, so until next episode, this is Sean's Take. I am Sean. Telefosi. See you next time.